The Southeastern Conference is, without question, getting itself ready to run college football. Now, I say that because I know Pete is chomping at the bit to already come back with a note on that, and I'm going to agree with him on it here. But if you look at what's happening in college football right now, and if you listen to the words of the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, you can hear he's basically, if you had like a little translation underneath this, it would be, we know we're the biggest guns in town. We own college football, and we're going to run everything in a short span of time.
There is something still for us from a geographic standpoint. I've had kind of branding specialists say you could do what Kentucky Fried Chicken did and go just KFC. So we could lose the Southeastern Conference moniker and just become the SEC. But that's not really who we are. And when we expanded, I just did the math on this over the weekend. We added 95 miles basically to our travel, our longest trip. And our longest trip is shorter than the shortest trip that the LA schools will have in the Big Ten. And we are still educational entities. We are still moving people from class and to class, and final exams matter, and as does scheduling, high-level competition. We also saw in those geographically proximal universities kind of a philosophical alignment around how they support their collegiate athletic programs and what they are as a university. So we're going to have, right now we have 14 leading universities. We'll have 16. We have 14 programs competing for national championships with every ounce of energy they can muster. We'll add two more that approach it the same way. And so that really is what has informed our decision-making. We've added members of the American Association of Universities, which are leading research universities. That's a great thing, but we want to add like actually attended universities, I say with a smile on my face, for the AAU label. And we've seen enrollment, even at a challenging time, continue to grow across our footprint. And our footprint provides a lot of those students. And we want to be strategic in how we think about that reality.
Clayton, when the commissioner of the SEC uses the words, we are still educational entities, did you laugh as long and hard as I did? Because to me, that's one of the funniest things that you could possibly say. Sure, you are, but in essence, you're not.
I mean, I think universities have different departments. That's one department that has a very particular role. I guess I'm not
Correct.
particularly bothered by it. I think, in essence, the SEC has run college football since the early 90s when they developed their own championship game, which gave it a pro sports quality to the way they presented their product. And every other league followed suit, having their own championship games in a sport that had never really had that before as its way of doing business. So I think in many ways what we're seeing is just an exaggeration of a trend that's been going on for 30 years. And the conference will certainly grow and grow and grow. And I think comparing it to, say, the ACC, I mean, the ACC has Clemson, which is a holdout. You have Ohio State in the Big Ten, which seems like a team that can compete from time to time for a championship. It's as long as there are teams out there that are not part of the SEC, it sort of gives them a degree of a nemesis. I think for those other leagues to seem relevant, they need a team that can actually rival the major teams in those conferences. I guess Michigan the last couple of years has certainly done that with Ohio State. Clemson, strangely, doesn't seem to have had a team that's been able to consistently be on their level in the league, whether it's Florida State or Miami or whoever is going to be in that position. If Clemson needs a genuine rival in the ACC to make that a continuing going entity.
Can we not agree, and Pete, come on in on this as well, that Clayton makes a good point and he brings up the ACC. Can we not just admit the ACC is dead? I mean, it's okay. Well, wait a minute. Let me stop. It's not dead, but it's just laying there, and it's basically a corpse that we're waiting to bury at this point, because the ACC will go away, so will other conferences. And the SEC, at the end of the day, Pete, is going to be one way or another. Sankey is going to be one of the guys who will run college football. They have been that powerful. They will continue to be that powerful. The ACC can't compete.
No, I think eventually, look, all they need is one more team. They got the seven out of the 8 teams they need to buy out the contract. They're going to get the 8 team, whether it's Wake Forest or Vanderbilt or somebody is going to join in, because they're going to dissipate. They're going to go to other conferences, and they'll split between the SEC and the Big Ten, the 7 or 8 schools, and the rest of them will go someplace else, to some of the other minor conferences. The SEC has been dominant for a very long time. the Power Fives are going to break away and they're going to break away and form their own entity. They're not going to be part of the NCAA anymore. Everybody knows that. Sorry, there's a fly that's in front of me. But so that's absolutely going to happen. And I don't care. I love college football. I don't really care what conferences or what you want to call it that they play in, as long as they keep the traditional rivalries going, which they are, even with Oklahoma and Texas coming into the SEC this coming year. You saw the schedule that came out last night and everything else. I don't really care what they call the conferences. I don't care as long as my Hurricanes still play Florida State.
But why don't we just take
Ohio State and you're going to have the Big Ten and the SEC rule college football. They have for a long, long time. It used to be the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, but that's changed a lot.
But let's just stop the nonsense, okay? Let's stop this. Let's get conferences done. Over, end of story. And let's do it this way. How about we split up college football and basketball? Because they're the only two real revenue-generating sports in college, where you have certain number of colleges that, and I don't know how we're going to set this up yet, but you're going to have maybe 30 or 40 colleges who are going to be the professional college football league. That's it. Here's football, and here's basketball. Now, the others can't compete at that level because they don't have the backing, they don't have the money, they don't have the revenue. So do you just make them then the original sort of college athletics, if you will? Because if you want an education, you can come play for the B League, where you can get scholarships and you can get your education. You can play, and maybe you'll get picked sometime in the pros. But here's the A League, Pete. That's the professional league. Stop. NIL has made it now a complete professional, trade me or play me, give me the contract league. So why don't we just stop with the bullshit and make it professional? There's going to be more money if you make it pro, Pete. That's the key. So just throw the conferences out. Get your rivalries are right. Keep them. But there's no reason to keep conferences. None. Not anymore.
All right, but it's going to stay. The reason you keep the conferences, they're all getting tons of money. Especially the SEC.
But you're going to make more money if you're a pro league.
Well, that's not going to happen, Ed. It's not
Why
going to
not?
happen. Because it's not.
Why
not?
not?
Gonna happen. I said so. It's not happening.
There it is. Pete Shepard, ladies and gentlemen. The broad brush is out. Here we go.
As far as NIL goes, it should have happened a long time ago. If you're a student at Boston College or at UCLA and everything else, and you go on American Idol and can win millions of dollars in cash, or have jobs on the side, or YouTube features on the side, or make yourself and you can make all these sorts of money just by dancing around or wearing bikinis and get paid for it. Why shouldn't athletes get paid for it?
I have never worn a bikini in public.
I don't care. I don't want the government involved. They say they're going to try to get involved. Federal government, that ain't going to work either. Look, the ACC, the conferences are going to be the Power Fives first and foremost are going to disassociate themselves with the NCAA. That's if the ACC even exists in 3 or 4 years. It may not.
So that's my point.
They may dissipate, and that's fine. Half of them will go to some teams will go to the SEC, some teams will go to the Big Ten. They'll figure it out. I don't care where they go.
I get that, but that's my point. The point is that at this time, Clayton, when you look at what's happening in college football, why have conferences? I agree with Pete when he says make sure you have the rivalries. You're right. I want to see the Gators in Georgia play every single season. I want to see the Knowles and the Canes play. I want to see Texas and Texas A&M, whatever it is. Have your rivalries, but the conferences are bullshit now. They're useless because of the money, because of the NIL, and because of the way everybody shakes out the money right now.